It's time for business now, and we can go to Jameel Ahmad, Chief Analyst at GTC. Good morning, Jameel. Global markets fall as Donald Trump confirms tariffs will go ahead against Mexico and Canada next week.
Good morning, and we're seeing more weakness in global markets early in Tuesday trade, and that's because no news is not necessarily good news when it comes to the new president's favorite word in the dictionary, which is tariffs, because overnight we have seen confirmation that tariffs will be imposed on both Mexico and Canada at the end of this month. This has also provided some concerns to investors that tariffs are not only being used as a negotiation tool, because of course these tariffs were threatened earlier in February, but they were then given a 30-day, let's say, extension based on some agreements that both of those trading partners made with the White House. Nonetheless, those tariffs will now be imposed at the end of this month, and it's not only on these two trading partners, because we have seen more words come in that the Trump administration will add reciprocal tariffs on other trading partners over the coming months. So there are concerns over global economic momentum, uncertainty from trade concerns, and we also have a big test this week with the NVIDIA earnings. So we were expecting a busy week anyway, and it looks like investors are taking the opportunity to have profits taken from positions on world markets that are still reasonably close to all-time highs.
And what other reactions can we expect from the markets now that tariffs are back on the table?
So we're looking at some more risk off, which essentially is when investors don't want to add further risk into their portfolio. Initially, this has seen more than 100 billion wiped off the crypto market overnight, with Bitcoin looking very close to hitting that $90,000 US handle. It does appear that investors are looking more towards safe havens as a hedge. Gold prices are pretty close to now new all-time highs, and it will be very close to watch whether $3,000 US will be the handle that gold prices now attempt to hit before the end of this month. But what I would look out for is the Japanese yen, because the Japanese yen is another alternative safe haven currency. We know that historically it's very oversold. The Bank of Japan, Japanese officials are concerned about yen weakness. And also the US-China trade concerns are likely to come back into the forefront, which might make and encourage investors to look more closely towards the Japanese currency.
And what else are investors keeping an eye out for this week?
As mentioned, it was going to be a busy week anyway, because we were very closely watching the NVIDIA earnings, especially after what happened with DeepSeek earlier this month. We're also going to be watching consumer confidence readings in the United States. We should not forget that consumer spending is the highest component of US GDP momentum. We also have a US GDP reading for the final quarter of 2024 on Thursday, but at the end of the week, we have the US Federal Reserve, which is the US Central Bank's third gauge of inflation, the PCE, and we're going to be watching this number very closely to see how global markets might conclude the month of February.
Thank you very much for that, Jameel Ahmad, Chief Analyst at GTC. Grammy Award winner Roberta Flack, one of the top recording artists of the 1970s, has died at the age of 88, her publicist announced on Monday.